Hey, it's Victor again. And in this video, I'm gonna break down for you what it takes to get a truly ripped six-pack and how you actually go about doing that effectively and efficiently in a way that doesn't waste all of your time. You know, a lot of us have this sort of idea, and a lot of guys have this idea that you need to go to the gym and you need to spend hours upon hours working out and running and bouncing from machine to machine just to get the kind of physique that you want. But the truth is, if you do the right things in the right order and the right way, you can get that physique with very, very little effort and very, very little time. And if you're a busy person, or if you just like to do more interesting things than exercise with your time, then you're definitely going to want to hear what I'm going to share with you. You know, in the last video, I told you that I had a fighter friend who shared one of his top tips with me on how to get ripped quickly, and that I implemented his tip, and within about 6 weeks I had the most ripped six-pack that I'd ever had in my life. I actually had veins running down my stomach for the first time in my life. And I'm going to share that tip with you. But you know, it's interesting because when I came to him, his name's Alex, by the way, when I came to Alex I said, listen, I want to get a six-pack, can you help me out? And he said, yeah, I can help you out, but why do you want a six-pack? Why? And it seems like kind of a strange question to ask because, duh, who wouldn't want a six-pack? But in retrospect, I sort of understand Alex's position. You know, Alex, and most people around you, when you embark upon your journey to get a six-pack, they're not really going to necessarily understand your motivations for why you want to have this in your life. And you know, what Alex didn't understand, well, the first thing that comes to mind, is how much more attractive you become physically when you have six-pack abs. You know, I live in Miami Beach, and I'll often take a lunch break and go walk on the beach with my shirt off, you know, go do a few pull-ups or something at the pull-up bars there on the beach. And it's crazy to me now that I have the kind of body that I want, is that I'll be walking down the street and I'll see a cute girl where she's passing me by, and she'll kind of look me up and down and sort of with a wink and a smile sort of, you know, check me out basically. And that never would have happened with the old me, with my old body, but now it happens pretty much daily. And the beautiful thing about that is, you know, that gives me an excuse to go talk to her because she's expressing a little bit of interest in me just based on my physique. She doesn't even know me, but just based on the way that I look physically, she's already expressing a little bit of attraction, and that really blows my mind. You know, I used to think that women don't really care about looks as much as guys, and that may be true, but they definitely do care about looks. And you know, a guy who takes care of himself, you know, women find that very sexy. And Alex didn't understand that because he'd been ripped his whole life. He'd been an athlete since he was a kid, basically. And you know, that's probably the main motivation, but there are a lot of other ones. Like, for example, Alex didn't understand the fact that having a good build and just being ripped and being strong and strong looking really gets you the respect of other men. You know, it really, in your group of male friends, wherever you are in that pecking order, wherever you are in that hierarchy, you know, as guys, we always want to be, you know, at the top. We want to be these kind of alpha male types, and you know, getting fit and getting a good body, you know, your male friends will start asking you what the hell you've been doing to get so ripped, and you'll automatically earn their respect as a result of your effort, or as a result of the effort that you've put into your body. And Alex definitely didn't understand that because he'd always been very, very much an alpha male. You know, he's a fighter, so you know, domination is his business. You know, so he'd always been at the top of his male group of friends, and he took that for granted as well. Now, a motivation that Alex did not take for granted, and this is something that you probably feel very strongly about as well, is that once you set a goal for yourself, you know, if you say, like, look, I want to get a six-pack and I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to find the best, quickest, most efficient way to do it, and you set that goal for yourself and then you go and you meet that goal, the self-confidence boost that you get from setting a goal for yourself and completing it and carrying it out is going to follow you into every area of your life, be it with women, you know, with your career, with your friends. You're just going to feel more happy, more alive. You're just going to be one of those confident guys. And, you know, not only that, but you're never going to be scared to take your shirt off in public, or you're never going to be afraid to look bad naked. And there's just all of these benefits, or these hidden benefits, that we don't really think about. We think, you know, you think you want six-pack abs, and yeah, but there's stuff behind that, you know, and you get all of these other benefits that really just improve your life. This isn't just about abs, it's about becoming a better human being and a better person. So, what is the tip that Alex shared with me that allowed me to get ripped in 6 weeks and get veins across my stomach? He said, Victor, if you want a ripped six-pack now and for the rest of your life, and you want to maintain it, you've got to do one thing consistently. You've got to cut your intake of carbohydrates. Okay, so he said you have to cut your carb intake. You have to cut your carb intake. Now, don't just take that statement and run with it and go cut out all your carbs, because there's a little bit more to it than that. And I'm going to go into that information in just a little bit, but let me just leave you with the fact that if you just cut carbs, you're probably going to feel sluggish, and you're not going to have much energy, and you're going to feel irritable. So there's a right way and there's a wrong way to cut carbs, and I'm going to share the right way with you a little bit later. But for now, just keep that idea in your head, and we're going to come back to it, and I'm going to explain it to you in more detail and help you do it in a way that won't leave you feeling badly as a result. So what is a six-pack? How exactly do you get a six-pack? How do you go about doing this? Well, to get a six-pack, you need to meet two conditions, just two very simple conditions. The first condition you have to meet is you have to have a low body fat percentage. Low body fat percentage, okay? And the second condition you have to meet is you have to have good muscle tone. Good muscle tone. Now let's look at each of these a little bit more closely and break them down. So let's start with low body fat percentage. What is body fat percentage? Your body fat percentage is how much of your weight is made up of fat. And for most men, the number is about 20% for most guys. If you're fit, or if you're an athlete and you exercise regularly, your number might be more around 15%. For really high level athletes, it might be more around 10% or 8% even. And you know, you do not need to concern yourself with achieving a certain body fat percentage, and I'll tell you why. Once you achieve a low enough body fat percentage, you're automatically going to be able to see your abs, and you're going to be able to see your other muscles as well, because there's this layer of belly fat that covers your abs. And even if you have great abs underneath, which you actually even might have great abs underneath a layer of belly fat, but once you get rid of that layer of belly fat, then you're actually going to be able to see them. People are going to be able to see and appreciate your abs. This is one of the reasons why just doing crunches and working out your abs isn't very effective, is because you can have strong abs with great definition and great tone, but if you don't get rid of the body fat, if you don't drop your body fat percentage down, then no one's going to be able to see them. You know, the other thing about it is when you begin eating correctly and you begin exercising correctly, and we'll get into that a little bit later, your body's automatically going to gravitate towards a certain preset body fat percentage. You know, everybody's genetics are different. You may, whatever background you come from and whatever's in your family and in your genes, might predispose you to being more skinny or being more of a bulky type. It doesn't matter, because once you're eating correctly, your body is going to automatically arrive at a point, and it's going to lock in at that point, and it's going to stay there, because your body is looking to balance out. It's looking for an equilibrium. So you never need to worry about getting a certain body fat percentage. You just need to worry about eating the right things and exercising correctly. And like I said, we'll get into all of that in a second. So that was low body fat percentage. That's one of the two conditions you have to meet in order to have six-pack abs. The second condition is good muscle tone. So what is muscle tone? Well, when you work out, in fact, let me just grab a dumbbell here. Okay, so when you work out, let's say you're going to do some curls, some bicep curls. In order for your muscles to lift this weight, your bicep and a few other muscles, but primarily your bicep, has to contract in order to tighten up so that it can lift the weight. So you can actually see the contraction. The muscle gets a little bit bigger, and a little bit tighter. Now, if you were to do 100 curls in a row, you'd notice that your bicep actually would get bigger and tighter, and it'd have some veins running across it. It would contract, and it would stay in that contracted state. In fact, strength is nothing more than how hard you can contract your muscle, or how hard you can tense your muscle. That's what strength is. And if you do 100 of those curls, and you come back the next day and you look at your muscle, it's still going to be pumped. It's still going to be pumped up. And you're gonna, even a couple of days later, it'll still be more pumped than a couple of days before that, before you did any exercise. And the reason that happens is because your muscle stays partially contracted. So you sort of told the muscle, like, hey, we need to lift this weight, so I need you to tense up. And then the muscle stays in a sort of state of alertness, this sort of state of readiness. And this partial contraction is muscle tone. So in other words, if you work out and you contract the muscles of your body, then they're going to stay partially contracted, and they're going to contribute to that ripped look. And that's what muscle tone is. Now, as far as the abs go, yes, you can do crunches. Crunches are actually a bad exercise, but you can do leg raises, and you can do some direct ab exercises that contribute to a good muscle tone. And something that we're going to talk about in a future video is the fact that there's actually another set of abs behind your abs that also contribute to your look. So just doing direct ab exercises isn't really going to do it. But getting good muscle tone is important, because you could lose your body fat. Like if you take a look at long distance runners, for example, they almost always have low body fat, but they just look skinny. They don't look well defined. They don't look ripped. They just look skinny. So you do need to develop some muscle tone, and we're going to talk about how to do that a little bit later. Now, how do you actually achieve these two conditions? So yeah, to get six-pack abs, you need low body fat percentage and you need good muscle tone. But how do you actually get the low body fat percentage, and how do you actually get the good muscle tone? Well, there are two things that you need to get handled to get low body fat percentage and good muscle tone. You need to get nutrition handled, and you need to get exercise handled. Those are the two main things that you need to focus on. However, let me ask you a question. Out of exercise and nutrition, which of these two factors do you think is more important, or a more important contributor to getting a lean, ripped physique? Is it nutrition or is it exercise? Well, if you guessed exercise, then you're thinking along the same lines that I thought before I went on this quest to figure out the truth about getting six-pack abs. Turns out that nutrition, or what you eat and how you eat, is actually disproportionately responsible for the results that you're going to see with the appearance of your body, including your six-pack abs. So Dr. Joseph Mercola, who's one of the pioneers of nutrition and exercise and a holistic approach to health, maybe you've heard of him, he said that 80% of the benefits that you're going to get are going to come from your diet, from your nutrition. And yes, exercise is absolutely important, and it's a component that you shouldn't neglect, but the main thing that's going to get you the results that you want for your body and for your six-pack is going to be your nutrition and the way that you eat. Alright, so let's talk about exercise for just a second. You know, if you're like most people, you probably do a little bit of jogging here and there, maybe play a little bit of team sports. Maybe you go to the gym and you bounce around from machine to machine, you lift a little bit of this, lift a little bit of that. Maybe you see a guy working out and you think, man, he has a great physique. And you wait until he leaves and then you go and you do the exercise that he was doing because you assume that it's going to get you the same kind of physique. And I understand that reasoning, and I used it for many years, and it makes sense. However, the body doesn't work that way. And let me just give you a quick example of why it doesn't really work that way. Let's take jogging, for instance. So you can jog for an hour every single day, 7 days a week. So that's 7 hours of jogging total every week. And it'll get you whatever results it gets you. But what if I told you that you can do 30 minutes of exercise once a week, and that it's going to blow any results that you get from jogging right out of the water? It's true. In reality, if you know the right exercises to do, and you know how to do them, you only need to put in a tiny, tiny bit of time and effort compared to the jogging approach or the volume approach, which doesn't really get you any results. And we'll go into why that is a little bit later. Now let's talk about diet for just a second, or nutrition is actually a better word, because diet, you know, when I say diet, you probably think of having to limit what you're eating and restrict yourself and eating rice cakes or whatever it is. But nutrition is really a better word, because food is just a way for you to get your nutrition. And most of us do not eat for nutrition, we just eat for taste, or, you know, if you're like most people, you grew up eating certain foods in your family, and you've continued to eat those foods more or less throughout the course of your life. Maybe you've even seen some TV shows or read some articles that, you know, that helped you modify your approach to what you eat. You know, you took some things out that weren't so healthy, you started eating a little bit more healthy. But unfortunately, most of the mainstream advice that you hear, even in health magazines, so-called, is very, very deeply flawed at best and very dangerous at worst. And let me just give you a quick example of that. You know, if you go and you go to Google and you search for a healthy diet, or you read, you know, like a men's health magazine of some sort, you're gonna hear the refrain that, you know, a healthy diet is high in whole grains. And the truth about whole grains is that they're poison. They're poison to your body. Not only that, but they directly interfere on several levels with you getting the kind of physique that you want. They directly interfere with you getting a six-pack. So, you know, we hear these things that like whole grains are good for you, but it's very hard to separate the truth from what we're told over and over and over and over. And it took me many years of research and many clients that I've helped train and see the results from them changing their diets, and not just in their physique, but in their overall health and well-being. And you know, doing a lot of research has convinced me that a lot of the things that we're told about exercise and nutrition are outright lies, and I want to bust some of those lies for you, because they're very dangerous, and they're holding you back from having the kind of body, from having the kind of life that you want. In the next video, which I call the Ab Avalanche, I'm going to break down which exercises actually help you produce six-pack abs. And there's a very specific reason why it's called the ab avalanche, so you're definitely going to want to hear this. And I'm going to send you an email with a link to the video, and it's the sender is going to be me, Victor Dorfman, and the title is going to say Video the Ab Avalanche. So make sure to look out for that in your inbox and click through and leave any of your comments or questions below this video if you have any questions about this video, and I'll be happy to respond and participate in the comment section. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in just a little bit.